So that forecast summary for today for your August 25th, 77, feeling fantastic. A bit of a breeze out there. Northwest wind at 10 to 20, might gust around 25. And our sunset at 8:22. Tonight, rather cool. We had our windows open last night, and you can too. 55 degrees, that low temperature. So free AC for tonight. And the winds will calm down around sunset, northwest wind at around 5. So the air kind of mixes in the afternoon, and that'll mix down some breezes for today. Tomorrow's forecast for your Tuesday, August 26th. 50s out the door, upper 60s at noon, 76 for the high temperature for tomorrow. So maybe even a little more than 10 degrees below average. Average high is now 88. We are technically past what is the hottest part of the year. 68, our normal low temperature, and our sunrise tomorrow is 7:07, our sunset at 8:21. So check out this awesome 7-day forecast, starting with tomorrow, 76 down to 54 Tuesday night. The record low temperatures in Louisville around 51, so we'll be kind of close to that. 77 Wednesday, upper 70s near 80 degrees, really for the rest of the week, and maybe a tad warmer, but still on the cool side. And that is cooling down some of the lake water, the pool water, for our last, big weekend of summer. 80 degrees Sunday and right around 80 degrees for Labor Day Monday. So loving it. Linda Shelburne says, good morning. Love this weather. And Mike Sievert, no more extreme heat for this year. I can't promise that. We've got a trough in the jet stream, which we'll see here with the weather models here in just a second. So that trough is the jet stream diving down over the Ohio Valley for the next week or two. And that's what's giving us this nice change across the area. But if that trough moves off to the east, we get a ridge to come back in, then we may see more heat building back in across the area. Can't rule that out through September. We've had, I think, the record high of 91 all the way up till October 15th. So we can still have some 90s through mid-October. So still a little early to call off more heat for this summer. John Fox, Mrs. Meredith, they are inside and out. Oh, thank you very much. I don't know if you're talking about cicadas being inside and out or what, but thank you very much. Appreciate you, John, for your viewership pretty much every day. All right, we're going to head over to the weather models again as we look live out here. If you're just popping in the show, it is a crystal clear blue sky out there. We may see a field of just some friendly cumulus clouds later this afternoon. And that when we have a little bit of afternoon warmth, it'll kind of mix up the atmosphere. The winds are a little bit stronger aloft, so we might get a little bit of a breeze coming our way later on today. So let me go ahead and bring up again our weather graphics here, the weather models, and we'll start to look ahead down the road here. And looking at just a beautiful start to the day here with all of those 60s around the region. As we back up our view, you can see the source of that air coming in from the northwest. Even cooler conditions up in the upper Midwest and the northern plains there. You can see 40s and 50s. There could be a couple spots that drop to the upper 40s. It's, those typical cool valley areas. The next few nights would not be surprised if we see a couple upper 40s popping up on the maps. So definitely fall-like air on the way. Kind of feeling like October out there for a while here for us. Let me get out of the full screen mode here and bring up the radar and satellite just to show you some more nice, quiet conditions across the region. There is a little bit of activity in the tropics, but thankfully not impacting the United States. And you can see the active weather staying out to our west. That's where the rain is out in Kansas and Oklahoma, sliding into southwestern Missouri, northwestern Arkansas, but all around our region. Again, not a cloud in the sky. And there's not going to be any reason to take a look at the high resolution weather models because we just have no rain chance here this week. So we're actually probably going to have to break out the long range weather models, and it's coming up 10:18. So right on track here as we're starting to look at the weather model data. I want to bring up briefly the tropical data. So there is Ferdinand. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Fernand. That is a tropical storm out there, way out in the Atlantic. And then there is a low pressure system here heading towards the Caribbean. So not too crazy at this time as far as the tropical weather. Really no need to look at the Storm Prediction Center. So since we have like no risk of severe weather anytime soon, and this is about as quiet as you'll see across the United States, as there's basically almost no risk of severe weather around the United States. Same for tomorrow, that's day 2, and same for day 3. Very quiet time of the year, often is here in late August and into September, our last week of August here. Crazy already. And then the Climate Prediction Center shows above normal chances of below normal temperatures through the 6 to 10 day outlook. So we're looking actually into next week that this weather pattern could stay cooler than average. So this isn't just a short-lived little taste of fall. We're actually going to keep that humidity low for quite some time. We're going to look at this together, by the way. We're getting kind of into the weather nerd section of the show. So we're going to take a deeper dive into the weather models and look at the GFS weather model and see when we might see the return of that warmer air mass. Like Mike Siebert asked earlier, no more extreme heat. Well, let's see how long we can ride out the dry air. So when we look at the dew points, it's just probably the most basic, best measure of like between fall-like air and then your tropical air. So we're going to kind of see how that plays out here we'll look a couple weeks out with the GFS weather model. And that means we're heading into your been on a limb segment. All right, so let me go ahead and bring up the temperature map, actually the dew point temperature map, and we are going to look ahead here. Dew point GFS. So there is the night. Let me go back in time here to today. So look at that Canadian front. What it has done is really carved out. I mean, this is all dry air, even down to the Gulf Coast. Tropical air is down here over the Gulf and over the Atlantic. So Canada has won here with this nice, refreshing air. And we can back up this view, and you can see the source of it coming from way up north. And then you can see the tropical air in blue down to the south. Green and blue is the humidity that you can feel. Anything in the gray or the white or the red, that is the dry air. So just to give you some perspective there. That's going to be around pretty much all week. We can go to the last day of August. That's Sunday. And maybe a little more humidity, but really still not too bad. These are dew points in the lower 60s. That's still not bad. And also still a lot of dry air over much of the region. So that is not like a wholesale change in our atmosphere here. So still feeling good. Going into our Labor Day, Monday, humidity still not bad. Again, these are not 70s dew points. These are pretty comfortable 50s and 60s dew points. The really tropical air staying down south. All right, let's go farther out. Getting into our first week of September. I'm going to go September 5th. So that's when we start to see the return. So that's why I was telling Mike Siebert on here, don't want to say the extreme heat is over with yet, because this would be the return of some tropical air if that happens. Now, this is one weather model. We look at the European weather model, the Canadian weather model, but this is around August 5th. We might start to see that heat return to the area. That's showing some upper 80s, hotter weather out west. All right, so that is September the 5th. Let's go September 6th. So looking down the road here a little bit. Not extreme, but just kind of more, summer-like conditions, near 90 or so. Summer's still got some gas in the tank, some fuel in the tank, so to speak. Not over with yet. So I think after Labor Day, as we go into the first week of September, we might start to see the return of some warmth. Let me bring up the jet stream map, and this gives you an idea of why this is happening. So we're going up to about 18,000 feet. Between 15,000, 35,000 feet, you're going to find the jet stream. I'm going to take this basically to today, and let's let that load up. So this is the reason for the nice change, the reason for the change in feel of the season here as it feels fall-like across the region. So this is the big dive in the jet stream. And we have been talking about this. I mean, if you go back a week and a half, we were talking about this potential change in the atmosphere. So this is a trough in the jet stream. I'll just put T for trough. And then out west, there's a big ridge. And they've got a heat wave actually happening out in the Pacific Northwest. They've got wildfires in Idaho. So that is where summer is in full blast, is out over the Pacific Northwest. Abnormally hot out that direction. And if I bring up the temperature map, it'll match what we're showing here. So this is all cool air, and then you've got hot air out west. So they're dealing with the hot stuff out west. Let me go back to the jet stream map. So there you can see that dip in the jet stream that we're talking about. And that's basically going to be kind of controlling our weather for a while here. Going into, this is Saturday. The winds are pretty light there. But overall, that's the big reason, because we've got that dip in the jet stream and allowing those temperatures to tumble below normal for this time of the year. Going to reflectivity, this is a look at any rain chance. And there's just not much showing up. Might be next week before we start to see a rain chance. Yards and gardens are just going to be drying out like crazy, already are. There might be as well, I just want to point this out, this time of the year when it starts to feel this good, we're going to want to have those fires outside. We had one yesterday, but just something to keep in mind as it gets breezy, especially, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If we have those afternoon breezes and the humidity is really low, the tinder around the woods in the fields and the grasses are going to be drying out, turning tan and crispy. It is a recipe for wildfires and fires in general. So you might want to delay burning when it's breezy out there. We may end up with some county burn bans. I'm not seeing that yet, but we're starting to get those ingredients where we're kind of heading that way. In parts of Kentucky in a drought, there's a lot of areas that by every Thursday we get the drought monitor. And by then we might start to see more areas in that yellow or tan indicating potential drought across the area. Just want to throw that out there, that there is that maybe elevated fire danger later this week. So that's Saturday. Not much happening. Now, the GFS weather model tried to give us this little tiny rain chance Sunday for parts of the area. It was not on the Euro or the Canadian weather model. So this is an outlier. The GFS is the only one that shows this rain chance Sunday. So I did not put that on the 7-day forecast, as a lot of times when 2 out of 3 are correct, that's a lot of times what happens. So I'm guessing that GFS might take out these rain chances in the next couple of days, but Sunday and a Monday kind of showing that chance. And, you know, maybe as the mugginess returns a little bit, not this week, next week, as we head through the first week of September, perhaps we'll start to see the increase of some rain chances, but there is very little showing up here through the long run. I can bring up the total precipitation. I mean, this is going out a couple weeks. Let me not go that far out. We'll go through Labor Day. So this is the total precipitation through Labor Day, and this shows 0. As we back up our view, you can see there's a dry hole over our area. So it's showing the track of some precipitation all the way down here. This is pretty much all dry weather, very dry weather pattern. So the total precipitation map is not showing much hope of any rain anytime soon. But again, great weather to get outside and maybe do some chores you've been putting off around the house. It's again, phenomenal weather across the area. Looking at some comments just popping in. Laura is saying, can I put in an order to just keep it like this through October? Put in that order. We'll see what happens.